Welcome to the next installment of the Blockchain Real Estate Summit podcast. We're here with Pascal De Keyser. He is CEO and founder of Portio. And this is a really exciting topic because we not only are talking about the tokenization of real estate shares, but we are also talking about a brand new kind of living arrangement that I think is really going to solve a lot of real estate housing problems, and that is co-living. So with that, Pascal, why don't you actually reiterate how to pronounce your name and talk a little bit about how you got into real estate and co-living and everything else.
Hi, Michael. Yeah, thanks for having me. So basically, with Portio, we are tackling, I would say, a mega trend we see for, let's say, the younger generations. They have difficulty in finding housing that is affordable to one extent, and also that is, I would say, fitting with their lifestyle expectations. And the big expectations we see from their end is that it's much more community driven, more purpose driven than, let's say, the older generations. So co-living is typically tapping into this opportunity, yeah, and bringing that community-driven and that purpose-driven lifestyle together with blockchain is, in our view, a perfect it's a perfect blend. It's a perfect match, and we came to this to the opportunity basically by listening to a lot of Gen Zers, a lot of younger generation people. Unfortunately, I'm no longer part of that, but at least some of my peers are. And you hear this the topic coming back over and over again. And we really try to find a solution, to try to find to be a game changer in this, to create an impact. And so yeah, it's for us as Porto, it's I think we see it as a massive opportunity. I have been in the I would say corporate management, M&A, and real estate for the past 20 years. But now this is for me like the time to try to try to create impact, try to do something different for a younger generation, and hopefully bring a solution to the market which is not existing yet.
So what you're saying is we're both young at heart because we both want to live like a Gen Z, but not necessarily all the way like a Gen Z.
Unfortunately, yes.
But so you actually came through this in corporate real estate, and you've had an extensive real estate background. So that's how you kind of saw the niche that this could fit in with. It's not an apartment, it's not single family housing. It's something that people need, but you can, tuck them into smaller spots to create extra housing. Is that correct?
Yeah. So my background indeed is more into, I would say, industrial real estate. I've been developing parks and real estate projects in Central Europe mainly the past 15 to 20 years. But really, when talking to kids of my brother and other, let's say, younger parts of the family, you really see that this younger generation has a bigger struggle than we had in the past of finding housing which is, I would say, affordable. And you also see that they also want to live in a different way than we did, at least a big majority of them. And why is it?
Describe a little bit about what the different way is, and then we'll go back to what you were saying, because I think that's the key thing. When we talk about co-living, it's really a different lifestyle, and it's something that I think you need to describe it a little bit more to people that aren't familiar with some of, the housing options out there.
So what is triggering, or what is co-living all about? It's about it's a mix of, I would say, private and shared spaces in a building. So basically what you're doing is you're you're having your own private areas in the building, but then also you have some communal spaces. And these communal spaces are typically kitchens, co-living, co-working areas, lounges. And what makes the asset class different than residential is that there is also this community type of activities organized within the property,
Okay.
within the asset. So that brings much more community, much more, I would say, purpose to the way people are living and also to the way people are interacting. And that's the big change or the big difference between co-living and, I would say, shared or more shared residential living, is that there is this community-driven driver behind it.
Right.
And you see it now blending into different types. You see it for entrepreneurs, you see it happening for senior people, you see it happening for single moms with kids.
Mm-hmm.
So this type of living, this type of community-driven living will scatter into different segments. But the basic of, let's say, having the community purpose will always be there and will always be one of the key elements of the movement.
Yeah. So, what you're saying is co-living is about community. So it's not just, you go to the house, or you go to work and then you leave. It's like trying to build community.
Yeah.
And so it brings people together, especially people that might not have, families in that particular city or something.
Mm.
It can function as, friendship, family, and all the rest of it.
Yeah. And what we see in the industry or is that it's really gaining traction, typically for, I would say, digital nomads.
Mm-hmm.
So people who are remote workers who want to, let's say, have the balance between work and traveling and
Right.
discovering new places. So what you see is these people typically hook up in spaces, and they try to also somehow help each other and to a certain extent potentially do business together, work
Right.
together.
Right.
So that's, I would say, one of the most frequent forms we see now, is that it's entrepreneurial driven, but you will see also different segments stepping in. As I mentioned, you have already in France there are projects which are focusing on single moms and kids. Senior co-living is really something which is gaining traction as well. So it will blend into different, it will scatter into different use cases. But it is really, it's all about bringing people together and getting connections at a very different level than you used to have when just occupying a room or occupying a flat in the building.
Yeah, and I like to, although it's not going to be, completely one-to-one, but I kind of like to, paint a picture in people's minds. So it's kind of like a cross between a WeWork, and a much nicer, dorm situation. So, and it actually is built around community. And I love the fact, because I know, and actually we have people that work for us that are expats, and the one guy, before he got tied down and got married, he was living in a number of different countries. So every time we do a podcast together, I'm like, "Where you at now, Adam?" So, and it's great to see that people can do that.
Yeah, and it's I think the co-living movement, if you want, is bringing that community purpose, but also the flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
And that is really things which are, I would say, part of the mindset, the expectations of younger generations. It's being much less attached to one specific building property, being able to move to discover new cities, new areas, and to the extent that you can do it in a way that then people who are living this way of who are having this way of living, if you can offer them a solution where they can also somehow start to build up their own real estate ownership or investing activity, typically for this type of assets. That is basically what we try to do with Portio.
Right. And not only that, but it also gives them affordability. So it's flexibility, affordability, and the ability to live in an area that they want to live. But I want to follow up with, because you just mentioned the Portio, and one of the things that your vision is to have, you know, something that's a brand name, so that people could go to one city or another city and they would be comfortable with the Portio brand name.
Yeah. So what we want to do is basically create a network of projects, of co-living projects across Europe at this stage, because of, I would say, legal frameworks. We are focusing at this moment on the European market primarily.
We're working on getting into the US too. So
yes, thanks for that. But it's all about starting. And
right.
So, and at the end of the day, yes. So the purpose is that people know that when they go to projects which are somehow branded / vetted by Portio, they know that there will be a certain standard, a certain quality, a certain level. Without us being the operators, we will make sure that everything that the projects they are, let's say, somehow getting engaged with, are all on the very high market level, market scale. Yeah? So that's the, I would say, the some kind of a security in terms of quality we are giving to people who will start using the projects we are offering for investment.
Yeah, our headquarters here is right across from where McDonald's worldwide headquarters used to be, and that's one thing that Ray Kroc, you know, the founder of McDonald's, really did well. Was he didn't invent the McDonald's restaurant. He didn't do any of the other stuff, but he standardized everything so that people got, you know, an excellent meal at an affordable price. So
how we will tackle this by we are operator agnostic. So it means that we will work with different operators throughout Europe. However, we will not work with newbies
right.
in this sense. So it means that, for instance, the first agreements we have in place now, we have an agreement in place with one of the largest operators in Europe, almost worldwide. And these are people who really, I mean, put the co-living experience to say an industry standard. And that will be the type of companies who we're going to work with. So it won't be always the same operator, but what we will do is we will assure that there is always this quality standard offered in the projects we are pushing on the market.
And did I hear you tell, we were talking about it, and your first one you're working on is in Barcelona, correct? That's like a, you know, a stellar place to start off.
Yeah, it is. Definitely a stellar place, and it's also one of the most popular places for digital nomads, and that's obviously the reason why we have like our go-to-market focus there. Together with some cities in Portugal, we focus on the south. And both Portugal and Spain are very popular destinations for digital nomads for different reasons. Obviously, there's the climate, but there's also the digital nomad visa, I would say, situation, which is quite favorable in both cities. It's a very bustling place. It's full of students, it's full of startups, it's full of young professionals, and that's basically what we are. That's our niche. That's our I would say our target audience. So yeah, that's why we looked at Barcelona as a starting ground, and that's where we're going to have the first pilots for our project.
Well, since my kids are out of college and moved out of the house, I'm going to become a digital nomad. So the first spot I hit is, you know, the Portio in Barcelona. Then we'll move on to Portugal.
Yeah, sounds like a good plan. Maybe I will follow you.
It's definitely warmer than here in Chicago.
And then Belgium.
Yeah. So, with this, I think we pretty much described co-living. Is there anything else you wanted to add about Portio's plans and everything else? And then we can kind of get into how it relates to the blockchain.
So what we will do is that in the first phase, as I mentioned, we are focusing on Europe, and that is just because of yeah, I would say regulatory frameworks. There is getting more uniformity on the European territory with MiCAR popping in. So it's that's creating some more transparency on what you can do in terms of digital currencies and tokenization, and that's why we are focusing on Europe. But obviously, the opportunity is much bigger than the European market, and so that's one thing. The second thing is that, in the second place, we also want to we will expand into different areas, and I think the US will be the one of the next stages. However, what we also saw is that in the US there has been a rise and popularity of, I would say, the asset class. There has been then also some kind of little bit of a correction. I think also what happened potentially with WeWork somehow created a little bit of yeah, how to say, maybe a little bit of gloom on this type of shared assets. That temperature is much different in Europe. In Europe, we see really the asset class being picked up by larger players, larger institutional players. So that's also why for us at this very moment, we are focusing on, let's say, the European territory.
Yeah, I think in the US, this is a real blue ocean opportunity because there are people that are doing it in the US, but you don't hear about it at all. It's not anywhere considered an institutional asset class. But even in the part where there's the entrepreneurs, and I, go to conferences and I'm involved with a lot of like entrepreneurial capital raisers and looking for the edge is to, what the next great asset class is. And most of them don't know what co-living is. So an explanation involved, which I think is a good thing. I think that, if you're looking to get in the ground floor of a new asset class, I think eventually, especially with, companies like Portio, this is going to be institutionalized. It's going to be, something that's predictable, and you'll probably get some institutional money, coming in because they're going to realize that this is solving a housing crisis. And the United States especially is way behind in housing. And I know Europe, really, you guys got a housing crunch there too.
Yeah, I think the awareness in Europe for co-living is higher than in the US. We really see it in the number. I mean, the last MIPIM, the biggest real estate expo in Europe, basically, which took place in Cannes 2 months ago, was really there was a lot of buzz around co-living. There was still also the unknown to the larger institutional players, but you see it at least now being picked up by I would say, the lower or the mid-tier, right, the capital stack. And I think it will happen in the US again as well, but potentially maybe a couple of years down the road. And we hope to be at that moment also, let's say, on the forefront of that movement, and then having at least already some legacy, some credibility built up in Europe. So that's our thinking.
Right. And I believe the way you've got it, because let's actually back up a little bit. You put together with some of your partners the largest co-living conference in Europe, correct? And probably the largest co-living conference in the world.
Yeah, so that was really a flagship event organized by Co-Living Ventures last year. A big conference, over 250 people attending in Amsterdam. I think my partner in crime and really the man behind that project, Bart Sassim, was really did a terrific job in putting that whole together. There will be obviously a follow-up edition this year, September. He's working very hard on this to make it even better and bigger. And yeah, we hope to have that conference, that platform becoming, let's say, some kind of a global event, global leader in its niche. It was very, I would say, amazing to see that we had already a very international audience, even outside Europe. There were people from the US coming in, from Canada, from even Australia. And Bart is now really pushing very heavily to bring it to the next level. And that's obviously a very important part of our, let's say, fundamentals of our
Yeah, can you give us the dates, the name of the conference and the website, and we'll make sure to hit it again at the end of the podcast and put it in the show notes as well.
It's colivingconference.com, and it will be on the 24th of September.
Okay. Oh man, you're that's the first day of the blockchain real estate summit this year. So
I think it's overlapping to a certain extent, I know, and it's going to be again in Amsterdam. It's
okay.
physical.
All right. So I might have to skip out on the first day of the blockchain real estate summit to go to Amsterdam.
I'm just now checking to be very sure on the correct dates because we shifted a little bit. Yeah, let me just check that. I think it's the 23rd or 24th of September.
You know what? You can get it to me after the podcast.
Yeah.
We will definitely put the correct dates in the show notes and put a little note in at the end. So I just wanted to hit that. So coliving.com, correct?
No, colivingconference.com.
colivingconference.com.
That's just that's the full name, and that's I think if you hit it now, I think it's the 23 and 24 of
So
September.
for people that are listening now, if you're looking for more information on co-living, you're looking for people that are at the forefront of doing this, you're looking for best practices, go to colivingconference.com, see what type of information that they have there. You can reach out to some of the people because you'll see some of the sponsors and everything. And then the other thing is that by all means sign up. So, if you're looking to get into this new asset class. So with that, Pascal, why don't we turn to how you're raising capital for both Portio and the individual properties. And you chose a very unique way to raise capital. You're raising capital through tokenizing the shares. Is that correct?
Yes, because as we touched upon, co-living is all about community. It's all about bringing a crowd together, and that's why we see that this asset class is really a good fit for, let's say, the community type of investing, and by then using tokenization, using blockchain technology to facilitate the whole liquidity and transparency of the investing. Those two or three parts bring together the I would say the opportunity we have now, and we are basically indeed raising money through tokenizing the shares of the companies, the SPVs that are holding the asset, and so people that are investing or co-investing into the property basically become co-investor into a bigger structure which is holding the asset, and that's typically the offering we have for I would say the larger public, for the retail audience, and there we can go as low as €100 per token depending on the project. We will use a existing white label marketplace solution for bringing the offering to the market and bringing already the liquidity on the market as well. So we are finalizing the discussions with one of the leading players in this field. It's also about having a quick go-to market, because for us we see the opportunity now. We want to put our flag in this opportunity today, rather than developing code for the next 2 years and potentially see, let's say, the window of opportunities disappearing. So that's why we are going for this this route in terms of technology, and then that's one side of the things.
And I just want to stop you there before we go on, because this is what I have been talking about, and I've seen since 2019. It's not only raising the capital, but it's also through the crowdfunding, you're creating a community, you're creating an audience, and you're creating people that are looking for similar things and they want to invest in it. But the other great thing is tokenization of your shares. So for example, we do regular syndications, and those regular paper shares, they're not easily transferable. They kind of sit in people's desks. They don't really do too much, but you can create not only the community with the shares, but you could also have, like, even if somebody never uses, these co-living facilities, they can actually, you can tie it in with NFTs, group events and things like this. And so that, people can participate in the community. But the other
Yeah.
great thing that I see with housing is that you could do special shares where people that might pay a little bit extra in their rent, but they're paying into, the purchase of shares in there. So they're actually like building equity in the property. There's a ton of different things depending on
Yeah.
what's in the country.
Yeah. There are different models that are also now, let's say, appearing. And one thing you touched upon, which is really very correct, is that we will also blend financial with non-financial perks. So,
Right.
and that's also one of the big assets tokenization has towards the operators of the places, because for them it's a different way, it's a new way of engaging with their customers, with their audience.
Right.
From a marketing point of view, it's super powerful if you can offer them to the tokens some special perks, some VIP, whatever type of treatment. It's just a very nice way of let's say building a new engagement with your users, and that is I think also what a lot of these bigger operators who are, let's say, operating across Europe starting to see the potential.
Right.
It's for them, it's an unknown field because they're not, I mean, it's not their business, but that's exactly the let's say the spot we will and the function we will take in also for them. So we will be from that point of view also some kind of I would say a facilitator or a service provider for bringing that opportunity to their audience.
Yeah. Plus, if it's like 30 to $40,000 for a down payment, or even $10,000 for a down payment, if somebody can get into, real estate, and really good real estate, like for example, I know we're not talking about specifically about the Barcelona project, but you could like potentially own a piece of real estate in Barcelona or downtown, in Bruges,
Yep.
and for $100, and you can say, I own a piece of that. And that's what tokenization is bringing.
Yeah, it's really giving that opportunity to leverage different regions, different type of projects. It's also creating that flexibility, indeed, in terms of your how you somehow compose, if you want, your own portfolio, and you can really do it up to your own means, to your own possibilities, to the speed you want to do it. And yeah, I think these are possibilities which were untapped or which were not possible before. I think what is also important is that at the end of the day, by using blockchain, you also get this transparency in terms of ownership. It's always claimable. You can always make it very clear who's owning what, and you get this liquidity. Because what you also see is for the younger generations, the investment horizon is typically shorter. Yeah,
Right.
they are typically locking in their investments on a shorter period than I would say
And
traditionally
those are the
people did.
very people that need to learn how to lock in their investments long term,
Uh,
because they'll
yeah,
make much more money, instead of trading in and out. But
yeah, they do. But I think you understand what I'm saying. It's a little
yes,
bit, it's a different mindset, and
yes.
I think that definitely fits with this liquidity you can offer with the tokens.
Yeah, no, I'm all about, financial freedom. And if you're going to achieve real financial freedom, um, you could find it in the latest meme coin, but most of the time that's just completely gambling.
Mhm.
Or you could find quality real estate in the middle of a great city or, anywhere, but if it's quality real estate, it's one of a kind, it's not, duplicable. And that's a big thing. And then the other thing that you were talking about is the blockchain verifies the property rights so
Yeah.
that it proves that they own a piece of this quality real estate.
Yeah. Yes, and all very, on the 24/7 basis, which is, I would say, the expectation also from the next generations. They don't want to be tied up in a Monday to Friday scheme. It's all about being able to do and to trade throughout the year on every single moment. And obviously, I mean, blockchain is enabling this. The whole DeFi ecosystem will enable this. I think we are tapping into that opportunity. There's plenty of things to be organized to I would say to get also more potentially regulated. But yeah, I think on the long term, this is offering massive opportunities.
Hey, Pascal, I'm agreeing with you. I'm American, and where I live, I can go shopping 24 hours a day. I can get, food in restaurants 24 hours a day. Why shouldn't I be able to trade or bank 24 hours a day?
Yeah, yeah, and that's, I think, also the expectation level of Gen Zers and beyond. It's just around the clock.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to wrap it up here. Is there anything else you thought we missed and you'd like to add?
No, I think I'm really grateful and happy that for the opportunity given to, let's say, explain our project. We are at this very moment as a part of the Startup Bootcamp Accelerator program. So we are getting ourselves ready for the first fundraising for the project itself. And yeah, so we're going to have a very busy summer and second half of the year, talking to a lot of investors throughout Europe and potentially also in the US. So who knows?
Speaking of that, would you please tell me the website for Portio and where they can go get more information and a little bit more information about what you guys are doing in co-living and in some of the areas that you're working in?
So the website is portio.capital. That's where the information on the company, on the team, on the whatever we are doing is available online. And we are also organizing now our first series of webinars. First one we did was end of March, and there's going to be a second one coming up early June, where we are tackling different topics covering co-living, but also blockchain and blockchain tokenization. So we are blending both of them. And as I mentioned, we are at this very moment doing the fundraising for the first project we want to have as a pilot, and that's the one in Barcelona. And we are also fundraising the company itself. We are at this for moment looking for a 250K investment to bring us to the next stage.
Okay, and please spell Portio for me.
Portio, portio.co. .capital, sorry.
Capital. So it's PORTIO.capital.
.capital, correct.
And go there. You can find all about the company. You can find out about the fantastic opportunity in Barcelona. And we're going to try and get some handouts, but we'll also have, where you can find Pascal in the show notes. And Pascal, really appreciate you coming in, not only explaining, a whole new asset class for us, and I believe most of our listeners, but also how real estate tokenization can truly solve a real big problem, which is the housing crisis.
Yeah, and thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you. And everybody tuned in, thank you for listening to the Blockchain Real Estate Summit podcast. We really appreciate you being here. As always, this is not legal advice. This is not accounting advice. Any type of investment or anything discussed here, you should get legal counsel. You should also talk to trusted advisors. Thank you very much.
Hi, this is Adam Carswell, the voice of liberty. This podcast is solely intended for informational and entertainment purposes only and is not intended to provide tax, legal, investment, or accounting advice. You should consult your own tax, legal, accounting, or investment advisors before engaging in any transaction or undertaking. Thank you for listening to the Blockchain Real Estate Podcast, which is a part of the Blockchain Real Estate Summit Network. Go to blockchainrealestatesummit.com for more information, free reports, and giveaways with free stuff. Thank you.